So this is how you are going to get your drawing in order to use the paint bucket tool to color it or collage it kind of in Adobe Photoshop. So starting in the internet, you need to access your drawing. I have shared a folder with you in the Google Drive. So to go to drive.google.com, and once there, you should be in your drive. So you might have to log in, put in your username, put in your password, and you want to look for Shared with Me on the left-hand side, and you should see a folder that says Computers and Art. If you double click, you will see a whole bunch of examples. Right now, there's only mine in there. You're going to look for your drawing in there, double click on that. Remember, we've learned not to copy and paste, but instead to download. So in the right-hand corner, you're going to click your three dots and choose Download. Remember, we already learned as well that we don't want to leave this in our downloads, so I'm going to click Show in Folder. This is going to show it to me in my Downloads folder. I'm going to cut it, Control X from my Downloads, and I'm going to put it in my own number drive. So once again, you're going to find your number drive under this PC. I'm just dumping it somewhere that I can save it. Then I'm going to go ahead and open up Photoshop. So we've already done that before. Get that going and open it up. So now that Photoshop is open, I want to actually choose Open. I don't want to create a new file. And what I need to do now is tell it where to find the thing I just downloaded. So you should have just pasted that document that you just downloaded, your drawing, into your number drive. But again, I told you I just put mine in my USB drive randomly. So now I have it open, and I need to go ahead and get it set up to get going. So there's a couple tweaks. One, it's turned to the right. So that's not very helpful. I want to choose Image rotation, and I'm going to go 90 degrees clockwise, and boom. Now it looks better, but it is not quite the right size. So if I use my crop tool, it's just like any other crop tool that you ever worked with before. Drag the little situation, the little line on the bottom and the little line on the side until they meet the edges of your drawing. So now it's going to be cropped just right. So I hit the Enter key to finish with my crop. So now I have my picture on the computer the way it was when I drew it, and I'm going to start painting it in. So your paint bucket tool is right here. It actually lives underneath the gradient tool, so you'll probably see the gradient tool to begin. Right click and choose Paint Bucket Tool. For the Paint Bucket tool, the color that it's going to paint is down here. So to set the foreground color, you want to double click on that and choose a color. Say I want to paint in my tree trunk first. I'm going to go ahead and try to find something with a nice brown tone in it. Oh, that's lovely. And choose OK. And then I simply click. See where my arrow is here? I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see. Click, and it'll fill in anything inside of that space with that color. Oh, I missed a branch here. It must be closed somehow, so I'll fill that one in as well. I can do the same thing for the top of the tree. So I want it to be, oh, a lovely bright green. Click, it'll fill it in. This space is not contiguous, it doesn't connect, so I might have to click that one separately. You can also fill with patterns. So if you notice at the top, this says foreground. Instead of foreground, I can select pattern. In this drop down now I have a bunch of choices. Right now I have these kind of patterns selected. If you'd like more patterns, click your little gear here and it'll give you a bunch of options. So you could have rock patterns, for example. It pops up like an error message, but it's not an error message. Just select OK. Yes, you're going to replace the current patterns. And so now you have some rocks. That could be cool. The rocks could be the sidewalk. Oh my goodness, everything turned to rocks. So I need to undo that. Control Z. It looks like some shapes are not closed, so I can show you my rocks a little better there. There you go. You can see my rocks. So Say I wanted to go ahead and do the sky next. Still have my paint bucket tool, but I don't know that I want a rock pattern in my sky. So perhaps I will load some colored paper patterns. Again, choose OK. This blue looks nice. Paint in my sky. That looks lovely. Oh no, I got a tree. So here's how you fix that. I'm going to zoom way in. I need to locate where my pen lines did not close the shape. So it looks like in here it's not closed up. So I need to paint a line to cover that. There's your paintbrush tool. So definitely choose that. You want to make sure it's the right size. I was already messing with mine, so it's pretty small, but it looks like I need to go just a little bit smaller. So I can maybe type in a 6 here. That looks like it's about going to make the right size. If I start painting, oh no, it's green. Control Z to undo. So double check that you're starting with black. If you just click this guy, you'll get the black. But, oh, black doesn't match my pen. My pen was not truly black. So the way to fix that is to choose your eyedropper. So your eyedropper tool right here will suck up whatever color you choose, and then when you go back to your paintbrush, that's the color that is in your paintbrush. So now if I look back at the image, you can't really tell that I had to patch that. While I'm in there, I want to look for anything else that could be causing colors to bleed over. So it looks like here I did not do a good job of connecting my lines. And let's see, if I zoom back out, that looks pretty good. Now let's see if I choose a nice green tone, if I can color in that tree instead of having the sky bleed in. Oh, I have pattern selected at the top. Make sure you're working with foreground if you want a solid and pattern if you want a pattern. And the top of my tree is still connected to the bottom of my tree. So I need to zoom in. Looks like I need to connect all that stuff up in there. So if your pen lines are not working out well for you, then you need to go back and make the corrections, which is why I have encouraged you strongly in class to make sure those pen lines come out the way they're intended to. All right, I think I fixed that. So now I can go back with my paint bucket with a solid color and maybe a nice brown, and fill in that tree trunk. There we go. That looks much nicer. If you miss little dots of white, oh, Control Z, I got the gray lines there. You can go back and carefully try to paint them in so that things don't look bad, but do be careful so you don't overdo it and go way outside of your lines. So there I've shown you how to use your paint bucket, how to use your paintbrush, how to use your eyedropper, and how to fill in everything with a pattern or with a solid color.